Welcome back. All right, so today's redraft is an updated version of the 2016 redraft. And of course, I may offend people. At the time this posts to the channel, I'm going to be in Las Vegas, so I may have to do a video while I'm in my hotel room in Las Vegas defending picks. I still have fun doing these videos though, so there's that. But yeah, so the Toronto Maple Leafs had the #1 pick in 2016. They drafted somebody you may have heard of named Austin Matthews. Uh, I'm gonna go out on a limb and say Austin Matthews is still the best player in this draft class. I know what a limb to go out on, and say I guess he's #1. The real question then becomes, is Patrik Laine #2? And in my eyes, no, not really. The interesting thing is that who I would have at #2 is a player that would not have signed with the Winnipeg Jets. And this is honestly, I would say Adam Fox is the second best player out of that draft class. Look, he's already won a Norris Trophy. He's one of the best defensemen in the league. He's absolutely fantastic. So I would put Adam Fox there. At third, going to Columbus, it's not Pierre-Luc Dubois. It's new Florida Panther, Matthew Tkachuk. Tkachuk's one of the better young forwards in the National Hockey League. I do understand that there may be some debate about my #2 and #3. That's fine. But I think Tkachuk would warrant being taken at #3. #4, to the Edmonton Oilers. Moving up from 14th. Sorry, Boston fans. Charlie McAvoy. Charlie McAvoy is one of the better all-around defensemen in the National Hockey League. Defensively, he's excellent. The offense is underrated from McAvoy. I do think we'll see his point totals go up as his career goes along. And so, yeah, McAvoy to me has been an absolute beast. So that's 2 defensemen taken in the top 4. We're down to #5. Am I going with another defenseman? I kind of think I have to here. Yeah, I kind of feel like I have to. Tampa Bay Lightning member, took a couple of Stanley Cup rings, Mikhail Sergachev. Sergachev, of course, originally taken 9th overall by the Montreal Canadiens. A trade they may have wished they could have taken back now, where they got Drouin in exchange for Sergachev. Sergachev's been fantastic. So that's 3 really good defensemen in the top 5 of this draft thus far. And there's some good goal scorers in here too. So now Calgary. Calgary's not getting Matthew Tkachuk, so he can't leave. In fact, I have Tkachuk going to Columbus, where I guess Gaudreau's going to join him at some point. So at #6, Alex DeBrincat. DeBrincat has been one of the best goal scorers when he's on, and we'll see whether or not leaving Chicago makes his goal totals drop in Ottawa. I don't think it will, but he had such fantastic chemistry with Kane this past year. We'll see, right? We'll see if that chemistry carries over to Ottawa, but his goal totals over the past 3 seasons, even though the one in the middle there, he kind of dropped off, but overall, DeBrincat's skill set, yeah, he still goes there. #7 on the board. Is this where you take him? Yeah, I'll have the Arizona Coyotes, even though this says Phoenix. You guys know what I mean. Pierre-Luc Dubois. I'll have Dubois taken here. Now, Dubois, consistency issues, yes, but he's good in all areas of the game. When he's motivated, he can be very, very good. Motivation, of course, part of the reason that he ends up not being in Columbus. There's the discussion about just the 1-year deal he signed with Winnipeg and whether or not he wants to go to Montreal next year and all this other fun stuff. But the reality is Dubois is still a very good young center. At least a top 2 center on any team he's going to play for probably at least the next decade. So, yeah, I'll have Dubois go at that point. To Buffalo. But this one's tough. Yeah, this is where it starts getting really tough. because there's a defensive defenseman that I could totally take right here. And I could defend that if I had to in a video. I could absolutely defend that if I had to in a video, which may happen. You know what? I'm going to go with the player that was originally taken 7th overall by the Coyotes. He drops to 8th in this one. That's Clayton Keller. Keller, because he plays in Arizona, doesn't get the kind of attention he would in another market. Keller's an excellent top 6 forward. And again, this is a pretty good draft. I like doing these redrafts because I think it shows when people talk about weak drafts, there's still really good players in every draft. So Clayton Keller goes at 8. At 9, the skill set's too good for me to drop him past 9th. You want a divisive figure in the NHL? It's Patrik Laine. Patrik Laine is one of the most divisive. You can ask a group of fans. I would think you could ask a group of reporters. You could ask a group of almost anybody hockey related. So what do you think of Laine? And you're going to get differing opinions. Laine, when the goal scoring is there and he's confident and he's playing well, he can be one of the best goal scorers in the National Hockey League. He can also go really cold for a long time. So this is something we've seen in his career. We'll see in coming seasons whether or not that consistency is then there. But yeah, so Laine ends up dropping to 9th in this draft. But it's not as much of a damning indictment of him going at 2nd. It is a statement for the fact that there were some gems in this draft who were taken either later in the 1st round or early in the 2nd round as well. Okay, at 10th, Jordan Kyrou. So he was originally taken 35th overall by St. Louis. I have him going 10th to the Colorado Avalanche. Jordan Kyrou is a forward that's just coming into his own. And again, if I do this redraft in 2 more years, Kyrou probably moves up. That's all likelihood that would probably happen. Number 11. Is it? Knew I had that wrong. It's Ryan Lindgren. Ryan. I see Lindgren and I think of Swedish players that have played in the league before him. Ryan Lindgren, I'm going to have go 11th to the Ottawa Senators. Lindgren is absolutely fantastic as a defensive defenseman. He is a perfect foil for Fox. So maybe Winnipeg calls up Ottawa and says, listen, can we get Lindgren? We're trying to convince Fox to sign here and he wants to go to the Rangers. So, yeah, Lindgren I have going 11th overall. He was originally taken 49th by the Bruins, who then traded him to the Rangers in a trade that didn't necessarily go Boston's way. Okay, at number 12, going to the New Jersey Devils. This is the thing with not writing down the first names. Maybe if you had like standardized names. Okay, Jacob Chychrun. I have going 12th overall to the New Jersey Devils, which is because his most recent couple of seasons, it's been tough, but Chychrun still, when he's on his game, I think is one of the better defensemen in the league. So I have him getting taken there. Is there any? No, not yet. Then going 13th overall. I know, I'm sorry. Yeah, just to troll Devils fans. That's right. 162nd overall. There will be those that say it. I have Jesper Bratt going to the Carolina Hurricanes at 13, originally taken 162nd in the draft. So I'm taking Chychrun ahead of Bratt. Chychrun, top 2 defenseman, a lot of potential, good goal scorer, minute muncher. Jesper Bratt, very good player coming off of an excellent season as well. You can make the argument for Bratt. Sure, that works for me. But again, you know, this is definitely not set in stone. It's one of those things. It's just not set in stone. It's just for fun. At 14th, the Boston Bruins do not take Charlie McAvoy. We'll take Tage Thompson. Tage Thompson coming off of an excellent season with the Buffalo Sabres. I think that's shown that Thompson's finally arrived. Takes some players longer than others. And so Thompson going forward, I think, should be a guy who's at least 25 goals, you would think, during a season. And the Boston Bruins like guys that score goals. So, sure, I'll have Thompson go there. Next off the board to Minnesota. Dante Fabro. Dante Fabro continues a very proud tradition in Nashville of defensemen that are overshadowed by other defensemen on their same team. So Fabro gets overshadowed by playing with guys like Yossi, and playing on the same team as all of Nashville's blue line's really good. Ekholm's fantastic. So it overshadows Fabro as time goes by. If they follow Nashville's playbook, usually the guys who are overshadowed end up being the guys driving the ship at some point. So maybe that's in Fabro's future. Next off the board, Philippe Hronek. Defenseman currently with Detroit, was drafted 53rd overall that year. Pretty good pick for Detroit. Hronek, there are issues with his game here and there, but he does get assists. He does drive the play. And I still think he's a good top 4 option for Detroit as they start to climb towards a playoff spot. I think Hronek's going to be a player who you see his stats get better as the team around him gets better. All right, next off the board. I know he gets a lot of flack, but I think he gets taken in the first round. I think he gets taken by Nashville. Drafted 48th overall originally, Carter Hart. So I know there's people who hate Carter Hart, or at least they don't believe in Carter Hart, whether it's hate or whether it's just disrespect or whatever it is. Carter Hart had a good year for the Flyers. The Flyers didn't have a good year in front of him. I felt bad for him. There were nights that he was doing everything he could and he'd still allow 5 goals because the team in front of him wasn't doing what they needed to do. So Hart had a bounce back year while the Flyers didn't, and so I still have Hart getting taken at this spot in the draft. Next off the board, Samuel Girard. Colorado wins a cup without Samuel Girard being necessary on the blue line, so it feels like that's what's causing everybody to try to trade Girard, or maybe they perceive that his contract's actually pretty good. But yeah, Girard and Fox. So Winnipeg, just that blue line would be ridiculous if you had Girard and Fox on it. Morrissey would be quite happy to have those guys playing with him. But yeah, Girard, I think that he gets less credit. Part of it, and it also, it's interesting because he was originally drafted by Nashville in the second round because he's a 47th overall pick. And again, it shows that Nashville with defensemen, yeah, I mean, Girard, they could just trade him. They didn't really worry about it because they had so many other good young defensemen. So, because there's Carrier too for Nashville, right? There's another one who's coming on. What is it with Nashville and defensemen? All right, New York Islanders next up. This is where it gets tough. It does get tough because these ones are all very comparable, and I know the internet. There may be some disagreement with where I'd put guys. So Brandon Hagel's an interesting one. I'd like to put Brandon Hagel up at this point already, but his numbers in Tampa were a lot lower, and his numbers in Chicago may have been augmented by the fact he was getting a better opportunity on what was a bad team in Chicago. So on a good team, will Hagel put up those kinds of points and goals? And I think that's up for debate. So I kind of want to put him here, but I'm not going to. Jesse Puljujarvi. He drops from 4th to 19th in the redraft. Puljujarvi has had stops and starts with the Oilers. He re-signs with them for another year, but I don't think he's rescinded his trade request, so it doesn't necessarily mean he's staying with the Edmonton Oilers. So I have him drafted again by a team that wears orange and blue, so that stays the same, right? But yeah, I have Puljujarvi going at 19th. After that, 20th overall. Yeah. Brandon Hagel. He was originally drafted 159th overall, so really smart drafting by Chicago in that one. But I have him going 20th overall now to Detroit. So Detroit, that's a pretty good pick for them. And as you can tell, this is where we're into the part of the draft where I'm like, yeah, I guess we'll take that guy here. Next up, dropping from 15th to 21st is Luke Kunin. Luke Kunin goes to Carolina, so it's Kunin and Brett that end up going to the Canes. in this draft. And with Cunnin again, I'm torn between Cunnin and Hagel, so I picked Hagel and just said, fine, just tear the Band-Aid off, it's fine. At 22, Dylan Dubé of the Calgary Flames, originally drafted 56th overall. I like Dubé as a forward. I think that there's still some upside there too with Dubé, and hopefully he gets to that. There was a lot of praise for Dubé at certain points during the past season. Maybe with Gaudreau gone, there's a forward that jumps in and starts producing more, and maybe it ends up being Dubé. There are others it could be, but why not Dubé? Why not? That's the answer you want to hear when I'm doing a redraft, right? Like, yeah, why not? Sure. And people, stupid hockey guy picking this guy in this spot. This is dumb. Oh, okay. So at 23, moving up from 57th in the draft. So still drafted right after Dubé, right? Because Dubé was 56th. Yep. Drafted 57th, Carl Grundstrom. Grundstrom had quite a coming out party this year, didn't he? Grundstrom was a player that coming into this year, maybe, but he had a very good year for the Kings, and he had a good run in the playoffs too. I think Grundstrom's one to watch for them. I really like the additions of Grundstrom and Dursey from years back. I like the way that this has set up the Kings in part along with all the other prospects. So Kings are going to be a team to watch. That makes Grundstrom a player to watch. Then, yeah, this is likely a Tampa Bay effect. Tampa Bay, Ross Colton, 118th overall. Tampa Bay might make players look better than they might look on another team. And this goes back a long way for me. I remember back in the 80s, there'd be a player I really liked on one team. I'd be, man, if he's a prime guy in another team, he'd be awesome. And then he gets traded and it doesn't really happen. Maybe Colton's one of those guys. Maybe it works really well in Tampa, their systems and everything. And if he went elsewhere, maybe he'd have more struggles. But either way, Colton, I think, has been really good for them. He's a guy who scores at key times. And again, as they are always dealing with cap problems, a guy like Colton is going to get an opportunity sooner or later to show that he belongs maybe in a top 6 spot, and might really save them some money if they can get Colton ramped up to that. All right, now we're getting into the really tough ones here. So moving up from 60th and being taken by, I was going to write Gabriel. It's not Gabriel. That's not it. He is not Dylan Gabriel. Who I guess be a brother of Curtis Gabriel. Curtis Gabriel, you have a brother. Who knew? Dylan Gambrell. Moves up from 60th. Gambrell, I don't know if we're going to see him as a scorer at any point in the league, like a big scorer or anything, but good depth player, sure. From 58th, another Tampa Bay player. Now, Taylor Radish, after the trade to Chicago, there was some offense there. He played well after that trade, and so I think Radish could be an interesting one to watch going forward. We'll see with Chicago and what looks like it's going to be a tire fire season, whether or not, he has that next gear, and maybe with Chicago being a tire fire, he gets really prime opportunities to play a lot of minutes, which could mean a lot of points. Moving up from 34th, going with a blue liner, Andrew Peeke. Andrew Peeke, of course, currently with the Columbus Blue Jackets, do believe, right? Tampa Bay takes him in my redraft at 27. Next up, for Washington, goaltender Philip Gustafsson. Gustafsson, I think the potential's there. I know his NHL level resume is a little bit spotty at this point, but yeah, I still think Gustafsson's going to be good. Obviously, the Ottawa Senators are looking to or the Senators traded him. Anyways, I'll get caught up. I'll figure all this out. But yeah, Gustafsson's going to get a shot at some serious minutes this year in the National Hockey League, and so we'll see how all that turns out. But yeah, I like the goaltender. It's just one of those ones that I'm on the fence about. So we're down to 29 and 30, and honestly, there's a number of names I've got here. I've got Stanley, Howden, Pitlick, which is Rem Pitlick, Steele, Kuokkanen, and Frederick. Trent Frederic was originally drafted here by Boston. I don't know that they would draft Frederic again if you gave them this list. It is hard to turn your back on Logan Stanley's size, but he didn't have a great season this past year, and I'm not sure on the top 4 upside for Stanley at this point. Rem Pitlick, good producer, but he bounces around a bit. Brett Howden, Howden had a decent year in Vegas. I believe it's 2 T's. Didn't write the first names down, just the last names. I'll take Brett Howden at 29. And I know that there are arguments to be made for others. At 30, Anaheim Ducks. Size. Logan Stanley is a defenseman. He's too young, and there's too much potential again, and size might cause, and this is something that we've talked about with general managers. This is how we saw DeBrincat fall in the draft into the second round. There is a bias in favor of size. So I'm taking Logan Stanley because I know I've seen him play really well over the last couple of years. Putting it together has been a problem. But so honorable mentions to Rem Pitlick, Sam Steele, Yanni Kuokkanen, and Trent Frederic. Kuokkanen is the one that I was considering between Kuokkanen and Stanley. But you guys can let me know your thoughts in the comment section below, as always, as I know everybody will. Don't forget to hit like and subscribe if you're browsing your way through, you just happened upon this video. Thank you guys so much for watching, for all your support. I will talk to you again soon.